We shred the cabbage not too fine and not too thick, because we've got to make the job for the mighty invisible organisms, the microbes, very easy. If we do too thicker pieces, well, they'll only ferment sort of like the outsides and the inside won't be fermented, they'll only go for it. And if you do it too fine, you'll end up with a far too sour result. So easiest way is to cut salt as you go, as you cut. Massage, pick it up, hug and massage the cabbage, and it will produce its own liquid. There is absolutely no need to ever add brine to sauerkraut, to cabbage, or definitely no water. Not unless you're making a sauerkraut tonic. And in that case, the cabbage is actually spent, and the only goodness is in the liquid. So that's why we do it this way, because we're doing it to produce the most amount of strains of bacteria that we can produce for our health, and of course to be tongue tasty. That's what we want. So then what we do is we stuff it into the jar. So we stuff it in and we compress it so that there's absolutely no air pockets. So you can use your fist, which will compress it down nicely, or like a little pounder that we'll gently use. Now we're going to put some beautiful seaweed in there. As you know, if anyone that's suffering from any thyroid problems, that the goitrogens in our cabbage family can cause some problems. So seaweed is rich in iodine, and that'll counteract that, and it also ferments just so beautiful. When that's finished, you can use that actual seaweed, the fermented seaweed, you can use it like in big pieces. You can just put like all your, like a sushi basically, or like a veggie roll, and then you just wrap it up and slice it up and eat it. But it's beautiful as a topping into salads or onto even soup as your final ingredient when you go to serve it. So when you're using your actual salt, you can get a salt that has kelp in there, which is what I've used there. That's a Himalayan salt, and if you see the little black specks all in there, well, that's actually kelp. So that's helping as well for any of those iodine problems and deficiencies where you need to add it. And of course the fermentation process, we learn every day about what it produces and what happens. So we really don't know whether it does really help. The cabbage and the seaweed help, but I mean the fermentation, the lacto-fermentation, what that actually does to, like, for people that have that problem, because it certainly is very gut friendly. So there you go, you see you've produced all that liquid just by massaging, hugging and massaging, and of course the salt will draw, because salt sucks. That's what it does, it sucks out that moisture. And we need to have it there because right at the moment all we've got is cabbage and seaweed, a little bit of sweet pepper, like what we call a capsicum, and some turmeric, and of course the salt and the seaweed. So now we have to make sure that it's compressed and it's going to stay down, that we don't get any floaters. So the big takeaway is to make sure that it's suffocated. That's it, you just suffocate the cabbage. So we're going to press that down. Press, press, press. Of course, you can just use your fist. We're going to leave a little bit of space there because the fermentation process will produce carbon dioxide, which in other words, bubbles. So little bubbles will come up, so we need a little bit of room for expansion. So we'll leave that there. You can use things like a glass weight. That will certainly keep everything submerged. But those cabbage leaves will work beautifully, and so will something like a daikon wedge. You could actually just slice a daikon wedge and put that on top, and that will work for a weight as well. So there we have it, we're done. So now it's part of the lacto-fermentation family, so we have to put that over to let the mighty invisible organisms do all their work. And what they will do is we'll put that into somewhere that's not too hot, not too cold. I've got all the temperatures for you in our download. You will cover that with a cloth, because originally it was always done in a nice big clay pot. And the idea of that is that it keeps out any of the sunlight, keeps out any UV light, and that will produce a lot more vitamins, and it'll let the microbes do their job properly. anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, and depending on your temperature of your fermenting cave, then you start taste testing. There's absolutely no need to burp, there's no need to open up that lid because you've set up all the environment, it's all done. Do put it on a saucer, something that's not enamel, nothing like that, because it can corrode when it bubbles over. It can bubble out a little bit. Don't put that in, don't open the lid, just toss it away, put it keep your saucer underneath and keep that nice and clean, and there you have the mighty sauerkraut.